Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Slowly, you should all be being let in now. I'm really excited to be back with you again. Today, we're really excited to have Paige Bailey, who is the AI DevRel Lead at Google DeepMind, with us to run a workshop on Gemini 3, which I know a lot of you have been playing with during the hackathon already. I'm excited to see you all again. We haven't seen each other since last Thursday, our third workshop of the hackathon. So hopefully since then, you've been making loads and loads of progress. And I know that loads of you passed the first checkpoint, creating your projects and completing your teams. So you're doing well so far. And hopefully today you're going to level up once again with all of the tips that you're going to receive from Paige. That being said, I will switch to gallery view so that everyone can see you, Paige.
Yep.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you giving us your time.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to hear all of your questions. If you have questions as I'm careening along through the presentation, feel free to shout them out. But for the most part, there will be a few slides and a whole bunch of demos. So hopefully by the end of this, you will know how to build and deploy an AI-enabled application and generate API keys, like all of that good stuff using AI Studio and using Gemini 3.
Nice.
Cool.
We do love demos here. Can I just very quickly, before you get started, message for everyone in the chat, please make sure that you're sending your messages to everyone instead of just the hosts and panelists. Paige and I can see all your messages, but if you're meaning to address the group, then make sure you've set it to send to everyone, like Akash just has now. Just be careful to do that. Otherwise, it will only be us who can see it. Otherwise, all good. Paige, please, let's get started.
Excellent. Let's do it. All right. So can everyone see my screen, or just thumbs up if you can see the screen?
Yes, we can all see your screen.
Amazing. So I don't think it's a secret that Google's been a little bit busy. We've been kind of sprinting really hard over the course of the last 9 to 12 months to get a whole bunch of different models, products, and features out into the world. The latest releases are Gemini 3 Pro and Flash, which y'all have probably heard about. Nano Banana 2, specifically Nano Banana Pro, which is really, really good at image editing, images and text interleaved, all sorts of good stuff. And we'll get to play around with that in a second too. VO 3.1 for video generation, our Gemma model family, which is really good for open source work. So we have a bunch of different sizes, different fine-tuned versions of Gemma that are available. There was one that was released last week called Translate Gemma, which gives you a super tiny 4 billion parameter model that you can run completely on device, but that can translate from hundreds of different languages to another reliably. And it's remarkable to think that even just 5 years ago, you would have to rely on a service like translate.google.com. Now you can just have it running locally on your laptop or even on your mobile phone, which is kind of wild. Genie 3, which is our world model family, and then our computer use API, which via a partnership with Browserbase is powered by Gemini 3 Flash. And you can also test it out in anti-gravity. If we have time, I'll show you how to do that too. Cool. So Gemini is special in a couple of ways, one of which is that it's natively multimodal. It can understand video and images and audio and text and code and all of the above all at once, but it can also output multiple modalities. So it can output text, it can output code, but it can output images, it can edit images, and that means you can do some pretty interesting things. And so with that, I am going to go ahead and share a window. And also make sure to share system audio. So hopefully we'll be able to hear some of the cool things that are happening from our Gemini model's output.
Oh, you've muted yourself, Paige, in sharing your output, possibly?
Yeah, so can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Oh, and your screen stopped sharing.
Yeah. So can you see it? Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see the screen. We can hear you.
All right. Let me make sure that system audio is also being shared.
I think when you share the system audio, it's muting you automatically. but you're unmuted now. Do you want to try and do something, and we'll see once you do it whether it works.
Yep, let's do it. We can try. So I'll go ahead and share again. There's a wild world of using Zoom on Google laptops. It's kind of hard to some of the security features lock down Zoom. There are some issues with security vulnerabilities. But trying again, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen and we can hear you.
Excellent. Cool. So the thing that I wanted to show is that you can, this is AI Studio. For folks who have not seen AI Studio before, you can access it with your personal Gmail account at ai.dev or ai.studio or aistudio.google.com. Many paths to get to AI Studio. It's where you can access DeepMind's models as soon as they're released for free. And it's also a great place to do things like generate API keys. So if I click this menu section off to the left, you can see a area over here where you can click Get API Key, and it will take you to a screen where you can see that I have a really gnarly habit of generating a lot of API keys, but also just create one for your project. You can create one and get started without adding a credit card. So it's pretty nice to have kind of a free tier version of being able to work with the model without necessarily having to pay anything just to get started. But the cool part is this playground feature and then also build, which we'll see in a second. So here, what I've pulled up is Gemini 3 Flash off to the right. You should be able to see it. If you click the model name, it will also show you a couple of other models that you can use along the way. But you can do things like say, I'm going to click some sample media, I'm going to add a video, and I'm going to say something to the effect of, I'll ground with Google search, please create a table with timestamps for all of the dinosaurs that you see. And it looks like the token count failed. I'm curious as to whether that might be because of internet or because of the Zoom recording. But we'll try again. And if not, then I'll just go ahead and grab another example of a video, and we'll share that one. So adding to the prompt just to make sure again. Might be more promising. Nope. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to look on YouTube for just kind of like a dinosaur movie. So let's try a dinosaur tour of a museum. Dinosaur virtual hall. This looks like around 8 minutes and 26. And I'm going to go ahead and add it as a YouTube video. Click save. It defaults to 1 frame per second, so you can see the 52,103 tokens that have been added. And I'm going to say, please create a table with timestamps for all of the dinosaurs that you see in this video. Make sure to include a fun fact about each dinosaur. I'm also, just in the interest of speed, I'm going to turn our thinking level to minimal, and then also turn on grounding with Google search and hit run. So let's see how well this does. Also, this is a video I've never seen before, and so we'll see how well the model responds to kind of analyzing this video, which is around 8 minutes and around 52,103 tokens. And while this is working, I'm going to check the chat really quickly. Is it true that we can speed up video to reduce token usage? So you can sample the video at different frames per second. So if you do select, if I click this and click YouTube video, you can see here that frames per second defaults to 1 FPS. You can change that to be different frames per second. So sampling it at a higher or a lower rate, and that should also kind of impact the results that you get from your model. We also should see that there are some timestamps for the different dinosaurs that are associated in the film, and then also some fun facts about them along the way. But this is AI Studio. If I click Get Code, it shows me all of the code that was needed in order to do the thing that I just did in the browser. So you can see the thinking config that got swapped to minimal, and all of the rest of the component pieces. I also really quite like that in AI Studio, I'm going to go into compare mode with Flash, and then add a tool. So maybe code execution, make sure that it's also turned on here on the right. And code execution gives you the ability to have the model write, run, and then sort of display outputs from Python code that it uses as a tool. So it's effectively giving you a sandboxed Python environment that you can invoke as a tool for the model in order to do its work. That can be useful for anything from like pre-processing a CSV to doing mathematical results, or even things like create a plot of a cute heart and display it on the coordinate plane. And then code execution turned on. I'm going to show two different thinking levels. So this is high for Gemini 3 Flash, and I'm going to make this one minimal. So ideally, it should be a little bit faster. We're going to hit run. You can also use code execution with bounding boxes. So it can kind of create bounding boxes for you on any image that you might upload or any image that you might kind of add to the context window. And you can see that this was pretty blazingly fast. And the same output that we got on the left, we got on the right, just in a short fraction of the time. And if you hover over the token usage, you can also see how much it cost, which was, I don't even know how little of a penny that is. Like, that is like one tiny little fraction of a penny to be able to kind of invoke the model to do all of that work, to write the code to execute it, and then to display it so that you can have that final image as output. And again, if you want to kind of use this as part of your project, if you click Get Code, it shows you all of the things that you would need to do in order to use that with your project. But let's talk about Gemini Live. And this is the audio version. So let's hope that y'all can hear whatever I play on my laptop. And if not, then we can think of alternatives. But I'm going to select live here off to the top, and our native audio preview model. What this is doing is effectively stitching together a speech-to-text, LLM understanding, and text-to-speech pipeline. So instead of you having to orchestrate all of that yourself, it creates all of it for you in any language that you might care about. And it also supports multimodal content. So I'm going to go over, and everyone can still see my screen. I'm assuming, like, just
we can see the Genie 3.
Awesome. Cool. So Genie 3 is our world model. It's kind of giving you the ability to dynamically create new worlds to explore just by describing them or by uploading a picture. And each one of these frames is dynamically generated pixel by pixel. So there's no physics engine. It's just the model kind of observing what you do, how you interact with the world. If you drop something on the ground and then you circle back, you can see it. And it is a model harness that is not just Gemini, but also tools like Nano Banana and VO. So you can see here that the jet ski hit a lamp and it kind of reacted the way that you would expect from a physics perspective. And if you had hit it into the water and then circled back, the jet ski would remember where the lamp had been tossed away. But the thing that I want to take a look at is this table here. So I'm going to pull it up on the screen, and then I'm going to say to Gemini Live, first I'm going to turn on grounding with Google search and share screen. Hey there, Gemini, can you tell me what you, or wait. Hey there, Gemini, can you tell me what you see on the screen? Can you all hear? No.
No, we can't hear.
Gotcha. So what I'm gonna do is, like, given that it muted me, we're gonna see that, like, it's not important that I talk while this is talking. So I'm going to reshare, and then
Okay.
and I will be muted until I like frantically wave and for you to unmute me, and we'll see if that works.
Okay, cool. Let's do that.
Yep. So click and share system audio.
The screen shows a comparison of 4 world models: GameGen, Genie 2, Veo, and Genie 3. The comparison highlights different capabilities such as resolution, domain, control, interaction horizon, and interaction latency. Genie 3 is presented as the first world model to allow real-time interaction, with resolution of 720p, a general domain, and multiple minutes of interaction horizon.
Paige just asked in chat if anyone speaks a language other than English. I can guess where this is going, but I'll I'll keep the suspense. Bahasa Indonesian. Okay, let's do it.
Gambar tersebut menampilkan bagan perbandingan untuk 4 model simulasi dunia: Gemini, Genie 2, Veo, dan Genie 3. Kriteria yang dibandingkan meliputi resolusi, domain, kontrol, horizon interaksi, dan latensi interaksi. Teks di atas bagan menjelaskan bahwa Genie 3 adalah model dunia pertama yang memungkinkan interaksi secara real-time, serta meningkatkan konsistensi dan realisme dari Genie 2. Genie 3 memiliki horizon interaksi multiple minutes, beberapa menit, dan latensi interaksi real-time.
Guessed, how was that translation? Good enough. Should we unmute you, Paige, or no? Not yet. Okay.
Berdasarkan informasi pada hari ini, Kamis 22 Januari 2026, cuaca di London diperkirakan cukup dingin. Suhu maksimum bisa mencapai sekitar 36 derajat Celcius, bahkan bisa turun di bawah titik beku di malam hari. Ada kemungkinan hujan dan salju sepanjang bulan ini, jadi sangat penting untuk mengenakan pakaian yang hangat dan membawa payung.
Yeah. Cool. So that is the Gemini Live feature, which allows you to swap between different languages just by asking. Or if you have a Texan accent like me, and sometimes like the model's not as good at figuring out what I'm saying, then you can make it in the system instructions So for this one, I probably should have modified the system instructions to remove it, in which case it would respond in Telugu. But that's kind of the mechanism that you would have in order to use Gemini Live. And again, the same thing, get code gives you all of the code that you would need to copy and paste, as well as all of the changes that you made in the UI to use it as part of your project. So it's the kind of the fastest path to get started with the APIs, other than build, which we're going to take a look at now. So build, how many folks have seen build before? Oh man, that's awesome. So I saw no thumbs, which means that this is going to be crazy pants. So the there's one. Harmesh has tried it. The build feature within AI Studio gives you the ability to just kind of describe an app that you would like to create, including an AI enabled app, and then to deploy it to Google Cloud or to share it with your friends without necessarily deploying. But I've gotten to the point where I'm trying to figure out how I can just like break the app itself. And so we're going to use Gemini Live for this too. So I might need to do the mute thing again. But it's going to like first off, I'm just going to describe the app that I want to have created. So create an app that takes a picture of the user with the webcam. The app should then show the user in a Y Combinator t-shirt using Nano Banana. The app should look like an intake form for setting up an account for Hacker News Y Combinator. So it should ask like my name, my profession, where I work, like things of that nature. And then it should use Gemini Live to have a conversation with the user. And as it has a conversation with the user, it should fill out all of the information on the form, which is quite a lot. So I'm asking for it to use Nano Banana for Gemini Live, take a picture of the user, Y Combinator t-shirt using Nano Banana, intake form, should ask for Gemini Live as a conversation, fill out on this seems pretty reasonable, so I'm going to hit build. And immediately we're thrown into something that looks kind of like an IDE. So you can see the code getting written as Gemini kind of thinks through all of the things that would need to happen in order to construct this app. Right now it only supports TypeScript, so you can swap between React or Angular. I strongly recommend React. You can add files as well. So if you wanted to add a PDF or a text document, you could. To kind of add additional features. You can also add files directly into this file explorer, and you can also iterate. So if you have the app get created and it's not quite what you wanted, then you can kind of chat with Gemini and annotate and see how well it does. But it looks like it's got a first version, so hopefully it's not. Hopefully there's something that I can fix on it. Well, there's a camera, so. And let's see. So it looks like it's not showing me the Nano Banana image, but it might just be waiting. Hey there, Gemini, how you doing? Cool. Yep. So the live feature is working, but since it's not doing Nano Banana, I'm going to circle this, and I'm going to add it to the chat, and I'm going to say, like, make sure to show the user in their Y Combinator shirt after they take the photo with the webcam, using just to make sure. And that was the annotate feature that you see here on the left. What it's doing is it's kind of figuring out where in the code it would need to make that change. And this does look very Hacker News branded. Like that is the Hacker News logo. that is kind of the current date, and the like. And it also looks like it's trying to convince me to start a startup. So I hope it doesn't tell my boss. Let's see. If you expand out the thinking sections, you can also see where in the code that Gemini has figured out where it needs to modify. And then I'm going to share after this change gets made. I'm going to share again, but with system audio. So I'll go on mute, but the system audio should come through. I also quite like that whenever Gemini creates the kind of the interactions for the different services, it also designs the prompts for all the services. So we'll see how well this does. I'm going to share window, also system audio, and let's try it out.
Hello, I'm Gemini, the Y Combinator Intake Officer. I'm here to finalize your profile for the S2025 batch. To begin, can I please get your full name, profession, and current company? Thank you, Paige. Updating your profile. And what is your current location?
Yep. So I'll share again afterwards, but I just wanted to explain what's happening behind the scenes. So it's figured out that there was an issue with the live audio feed while in conversation, which is kind of awesome, right? Like it was able to extract out that like the live audio feed was working, but the function calling that I was asking it to do was not working. And so this what it's doing right now is it's trying to figure out like, all right, well, where would I need to modify the code in order to enable this experience. I also quite like that when it used Nano Banana to give me a Y Combinator shirt, it also kept my same watch and my same necklace and also my same hairstyle, which is pretty cool. And so it's validating the integration. Sometimes this takes a little bit of time, but one of the nice things is that you can also check the logs down at the bottom if anything goes awry. You can also save to GitHub, so you can save to a public or a private repo and then work on it with your friends. And then also, as mentioned before, you can kind of toggle on some of these advanced settings. So things like system instructions. Right now I'm using Gemini 3 Flash Preview, but I could swap over to use Gemini 3 Pro if I had a particularly gnarly bug that I wanted to try out, or like change my microphone if I wanted to. And if this doesn't fix itself pretty soon, then I'll just toggle over to Gemini 3 Pro, and it should be able to do it more fast. Let's try and say like fix the error or continue fixing the error. And then it should be able to kind of look through all of the things that it incorporated into context, and figure out where in the code to swap using Gemini 3 Pro, which is a little bit easier for some of these things. But it's really nice to have this sandbox environment to get started. You can also with ai.dev /build, we have a gallery. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can see a gallery of apps that you can kind of remix and build on for your own work. So everything from video generation with VO to kind of landing pages to one of my colleagues, Amar, who is amazing, did this comic book experience that's personalized. So you can create a comic book about yourself and your friends, marketing pages, like interactive simulation games, like all sorts of stuff. And all of these, every single one of them was made using AI Studio's build feature, which is kind of wild. And so this one, it looks like it's still figuring out where it should make the connection. But while that is cooking, I'll take a look at one of the ones that Amar has shared. So the comic book experience, you can just kind of add a person. Say I want it to be like a high fantasy comic book. I want the language to be Hindi. And then it starts the process of building the comic book itself. It's using Nano Banana behind the scenes in order to create the comic book. And then after it completes, we should be able to see that. So that's me in a high fantasy comic book, and then waiting on the next couple of pages to get added. Cool. And it looks like it made some changes. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to share again, and we'll see how well it did.
Hello, I'm Gemini, the Y Combinator Batch Intake Officer for S2025. I'm here to get your information for the upcoming batch. Could you please start by sharing your name and your profession? Great, Paige. What company are you with, and where are you located?
Yep. And so I think it had a connection error just because the Wi-Fi is struggling a little bit, but you can see that it fixed the function calling issue despite not knowing how to spell my name. But that's okay. Like Paige is a perfectly valid way to spell it. But the cool thing is, if you click Deploy App, you can select a Google Cloud project. You can click Deploy, and then it gives you a unique URL that you can use to share with your friends. You can see all of the logs that get associated with the app itself. So if I click this, it takes me to a version that's been deployed as a Cloud Run instance that still works just as the one does in the AI Studio build feature. And then I can also take a look at the logs for all of the services if people start using the app, all of the logs associated with it, as well as all of the billing. And if I wanted to connect to a repo, I could do that as well with the app itself. Just wanted to take a look at the infinite heroes. I'm very curious. So it looks like I have no idea what that says, but I look very fierce. And so it's awesome and I am having lots and lots of wardrobe changes apparently. But it's very, very cool to kind of see some of these things get created and to kind of expand on the comic books as well. So strongly recommend taking a look. Cool. So another thing that we've just recently implemented is the Gemini 3 Flash experience with browser base. I'm not sure how many folks have seen this before, but I'm going to go ahead and click 3 Flash Preview, and I'm going to say something to the effect of find me a pair of pink hiking boots that would be good for a hiking trip to Seattle in 3 weeks, or maybe just in 2 weeks. Make sure they're on sale and that they can be delivered to San Francisco. And then hit run. And what happens behind the scenes is that Gemini is kind of launching a browser. It's figuring out, since I'm in Switzerland, it's figuring out that there are kind of things that it needs to accept in terms of service. So you can see kind of the cookies that need to get accepted with the app. And this is exactly the same. This is exactly the same kind of feature that anti-gravity supports within its browser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same prompt. I'm going to do a new share. So I'm going to share my entire screen. Pull up anti-gravity. So hopefully folks can see anti-gravity here. I'm going to paste in that prompt that I just gave to the browser base instance. And we're going to see how well anti-gravity is able to accomplish the task, even though I happen to be in Switzerland. Anti-gravity, for folks who are unaware, is kind of the new IDE that Google has designed. It gives you an initial task checklist, which looks pretty good to me. So it's going to search the web. It launched a browser, so like I'm touching nothing. It's figuring out where to go search. So there's REI. It's REI, whenever I last used it, I configured it to be in Austin downtown. So let me zoom out a little bit to see what the current situation is. So it opened up the browser. It's clicking to try to find peak hiking boots. So if I go back to the browser, it's looking up gear and typing things in. It's using not just screenshots to understand where to click and where to interact with the browser, but it's also using the DOM. If it has access denied, it should be able to figure out how to avoid that. But sometimes websites are able to detect automated experiences and block them. So if we look here, we can see step by step what was happening, all of the kind of screenshots along the way. And what the choices and the decisions are afterwards. But you can use different models for each one of the tasks. So you can use any of the Gemini models, Claude, OpenAI models, whatever you would like. It looks like it's navigated to women's hiking boots. And now, what's the reasoning? It's saying that it scrolled. It did some thinking for a little bit. So it says I've zeroed in on the women's hiking boots and I need to apply the sail and pink filters. It's editing my store location. And it's pretty cool to just have this running in the background to do anything from anything from just kind of doing research for you behind the scenes to creating walkthroughs, creating tutorials. You can ask for it to create kind of a step-by-step walkthrough with screenshots embedded. 94105 is a San Francisco area code, so it's looking for stores that are nearby San Francisco. So you can see that there's one on 840 Brighton Street. And each one of those activities is captured in the plan. Cool. I wonder if it also, yeah. Cool. So you can see the different tasks getting completed. With anti-gravity, you can also kind of sort of create apps. There's not a fast path to deploy just yet, but that's coming soon. And it looks like it's searching for shoes that are on sale in the website itself. So while that is working, I'm going to go ahead and go back to so stop sharing. If I can find out how to stop sharing.
You've already stopped.
Okay, excellent. That's very good. So while that is cooking and kind of doing all of the task, it looks like it's found some La Sportiva hiking boots that might be a good option. This is anti-gravity working with a combination of tools as well as browser use, so the screenshots and having access to the DOM. Cool. And anti-gravity does have MCP support. So if you're using MCP servers, if you like using Claude Skills, all of that is supported within anti-gravity as well. And you can get started for free. So it's also like a really nice, like wallet sensitive way to start building things using AI too. Cool. So with that, in the interest of time, if folks have any questions, happy to answer questions, but also just want to make sure that you all have everything that you would need in order to know how to get started with API keys and AI Studio for free, just using Gemini 3 Flash.
There have actually been a couple of questions in the Q&A about the costs of different models, because we've been encouraging everyone to use the free tier that DeepMind offers. But I think Abdul has observed that Pro is not available on the free tier, and the Flash preview sometimes doesn't work. Can you, if you have it on the top of your head or just roughly, talk us through what sorts of tools people can use on the free tier and what sorts of costs for the building of like a hackathon project you think might be an expected investment that you'd have to make if you wanted to use some of the more pro tools?
Yeah. So I would strongly recommend trying the Gemini 3 Flash preview. On all of the benchmarks, it's coming in about as well as Gemini 3 Pro. So it really is a cost-effective way to get started. And then the other thing that I don't think we advertise nearly enough is that our Gemini or our Gemma 3 models, which can understand images, Gemma 3N can understand audio, they are useful free of charge. So like you have a ton of calls that you can make just by swapping in the Gemma model family. The 27 billion parameter version is the most high-end, like highest powerful one. But it's a great way to prototype to figure out if your kind of proof of concept works, and then also gives pretty decent performance again for just $0, and you could keep the service running. But I would suggest Gemini 3 Flash And when you look at Gemini 3 Flash on artificialanalysis.ai as an example, across most of the benchmarks, it's coming in at pretty identically to Gemini 3 Pro. So this is 42 versus 39%. For MMLU or MMMU, I think. Yep. So for the visual reasoning, it's neck and neck. So you're not going to have that much of a performance hit. If anything, like it'll be faster for the Gemini 3 Flash model.
How does that also relate to anti-gravity? Do people need their own API keys in order to use anti-gravity, or?
No, anti-gravity, you can get started with the free tier. There's not a way to put in API keys just yet. Though if you do have .edu accounts, if you're students, you get kind of free tier access to Gemini Pro, which means you get additional quota for all of these models within anti-gravity, including the Claude family, the Gemini 3 Pro model family, and the like. So anti-gravity could be a fast path to get started.
And Siddharth, I do not suggest stealing your siblings and children's accounts because that would be immoral. But we won't know if you do, but don't. Let's have a look back through the chat and check if anything was missed. If anyone has a question that was absolutely ages ago that didn't get answered, feel free to bump it up by putting it back again in chat, because we've had a lot going on, lots of stuff that was kind of related to what you were showing on screen. So Chadresh is asking about Chadresh is asking about something more specific to what they're building, and they're asking, by the use of Gemini Build, would it integrate multimodal agents if it needed one that searches and one that gets the routine, one that does the fight? So would using Gemini Build allow you to do multimodal agent
so
features?
So you could do things that feel very agent-like. So as an example, you could say, go and search for the latest scores for Liverpool Football Club, and also like who made the most points. And then use Nano Banana to create an image of me with that person and a trophy, because all of those things are kind of stitched together into an end-to-end service, which is more or less like an agent workflow. But you could stitch it all together in AI Studio. If you want to do something that's a little bit more automated, like a workflow script that you could run in as a GitHub workflow, you can get it framed out in AI Studio or using the playground feature, and then just like host it in a GitHub repo and trigger it. And if you've ever created kind of a GitHub workflow, it's pretty straightforward. You just have a YAML file. You say at this time, there's like a cron job, run this script, whether it's a Python script or a TypeScript file, and then here are the dependencies that you need to add in order to make it run.
But just one thing, Chadresh, unrelated to the use of Gemini Build, please don't try to do too much at once for your hackathon project, because you might get overwhelmed with going for, from what you've said, the application of healthy diet, financial spending, goal tracking. That's 3 different areas that you might want to focus on, and you might get overwhelmed with what you're doing and end up making a worse implementation of all 3 of them. So do try and focus on a core implementation, just to make sure your app is as good as it can be, from a completely unrelated to Gemini Build perspective.
100%. I agree. The best hackathon projects are the ones that focus on one thing and they do it really, really well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I actually had a question from earlier related to, you mentioned that some websites, when you were using anti-gravity, have stuff that can detect automated. Oh, sorry.
Yep, and it's not just using anti-gravity, it's also using
Sorry.
cursor or
Yeah,
breath
of course.
or anything.
The websites currently have tracking to see what kind of things are automated. Do you think in the future, would you suggest that websites would stop putting that in because we're going to turn to such a we're going to start using tools like this for our kind of general searching?
100% agree. Like I think that websites need to find ways to make themselves more
AI
uh,
friendly?
yes, 100%. And there's there's not going to be there's not going to be any working around it. Like everyone is wanting to have this experience that feels very kind of curated and tailored to their interests. And I think most websites will try to make their information as easy to consume for agents as possible.
Interesting to see how quickly the uptake of that is, what websites fall first and which ones stick around with their antiquated blocking.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I don't see any other questions that we accidentally skipped, but please, if I've missed something from someone, flag us now. I would like to support Al's message saying that we don't resort to kidnapping in this group. It is illegal, and I like that message. So thank you, Al, for teaching us the law. Justice has said my question. Justice, can you say your question is, can you get the recording? Yes, you can. It will be available about an hour after the session, after we've edited it and posted the recording, so you can watch back and review if you missed any, or watch back if you want to try something out yourself. Justice is also asking, related to the what I asked earlier about API keys, can they link their Google Cloud to their anti-gravity, or is it just the free currently?
You should be able to like the same VS Code extensions that you might use to connect to your Google Cloud services, you could use with anti-gravity, or the kind of G Cloud CLI tool or Gemini CLI you can use within anti-gravity.
Okay. Thank you very much, Paige, for giving us your time, for giving us all these amazing tips. It's absolutely insane what you can do now with Google AI Studio and all the tools. So I'm really excited to see what comes out of this hackathon, to be honest. It's going to be a really, really amazing one. I've already actually met a couple of builders from the hackathon in person at one of our recent in-person hackathons. And some of the things they're planning on building are very, very, what's the word? Ambitious, shall we say, for the time period. But it's amazing, given the tools that we have now, what you can achieve in such a short time. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing the outcomes of this hackathon, and the amazing things that people build and continue to build after the hackathon as well, especially ones that integrate OPIC, which is obviously, as we know from our previous workshops, a really useful tool for making sure that your app isn't just a kind of basic AI implementation. You're actually working to evaluate the responses that you're getting and improve the performance. We have one more question before we'll wrap up. What are the indicators that an agent has reached a performance plateau, meaning you should transition to a more capable model rather than just keeping prompting? And
I think that if you see some of the thinking traces start getting repetitive, or like if you're like me and you just get impatient, those are both good indications that it might be time to swap to a higher end model. For some tools like anti-gravity, they already kind of toggle between different model types and capabilities based on this the kind of complexity of the user query. But if you're just working manually, like those are a couple of good things.
That's very useful advice, and hopefully no one gets stuck down a vibe code doom cycle. I don't know if it has an official name yet, but it will have one soon. It might be the word of the year. Hopefully everyone has successful vibe coding experiences in this hackathon.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Paige, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for coming and for all your amazing questions and your engagement and your reactions. It's lovely to see. Thank you to those of you who stayed up very late to watch the workshop. We really appreciate your time. And best of luck in the hackathon. This is the last time I'll see you for a little bit, but I'm really looking forward to seeing your mid-submission checkpoints, having a look at what you're building, and the progress that you've made. So everyone, have a great rest of your day. Have a good night if it is the middle of the night for you. And I will speak to you all very soon. Thank you, Paige, for coming.
Thank you. Bye.